And here we are, one more year later. My hair is just keeps getting longer. If you look at the second anniversary video I did, I don't think I've cut my hair since then. And oh my god, it's getting obnoxious, but it's not going to last very much longer, so don't get used to it. But anyway, yes, this is my third anniversary here. Oh my goodness. Still chugging along. We got these 18 bands we're talking about today. All the ones I did this year. From my... I don't really know how I'm organizing this. It was like my favorite and also like the consistency of the discography, like how good was it overall, and like how much I listened to them. There's a bunch of different categories I'm thinking of right now. So basically, this is just just my favorite artists that I've done this year, or bands. Artists. We'll say artists. But yeah, hopefully this won't be too long, because Lord knows that rank 3 video was way too damn long. So let's just kick this right off at number 18. So yeah, with Slayer, it's kind of tough, because on one hand, they are like one of the metal bands. Obviously, you have fucking Slayer. But to be honest, a lot of their albums just kind of started sounding samey. And while there are some very strong highlights, specifically with Rain and Blood and like World Painted Blood, it's a really damn good song. And, just a few others. Seasons in the Abyss was great. But for the most part, a lot of it was pretty similar. And honestly, I do not find myself listening to them that often. And with Riverside, like a lot of bands I did this year, they are very new. I mean, I listened to them once years ago, but like I never fully got into them. And then revisiting them again, they had very good albums. Like, yeah, Wasteland was really great. All three of the first couple, really every album besides the one I had in last place, I don't remember which one it is, but that was the only one that kind of dragged. Shrine of New Generation Slaves, that's what it was. But beyond that, everything else is pretty solid. It's just, like a lot of these bands, they are too new to really be any higher. Okay, Haley probably doesn't watch this one, so no one tell her that I put Steve Miller at number 16, otherwise I'm going to get murdered. But yeah, Steve Miller Band has a shitload of albums, and for the most part, again, they're all pretty solid. Just beyond those few hits, I don't really remember a whole lot of it, so yeah, not going too deep into all of his albums all the time, or at all since we did that video, but still, again, just like a lot of things in this area, I haven't listened to them enough to go any higher. And wow, I didn't know that I did all 3 editions of Rank Your Albums this year. Because when I was going through it, I thought I did Primus for the last one. But wow, that's a lot of these albums. All in all, it must be around like 60 or 70 albums that I listened to this year from suggestions from other people. And Primus was the first one. And to be honest, I don't think Primus should have actually won that round number 1. Honestly, it should have been Billy Joel with The Stranger, because that album has been blasting a lot. And with Sailing the Seas of Cheese, not so much. I mean, I do have fun with a lot of songs. Like obviously we have the big ones with Jerry and Tommy. And then most recently, Follow the Fool on the EP, I really like. My Name is Mud, still a great song. And then Southbound Pachyderm, I think it's called. That's really good. But I haven't even gone back and listened to a full album again since that happened, which probably was a long time ago, considering that was edition number 1. So, yeah, it's been a while. And now the band that me and my friend Nick simp for, Origami Angel, I do actually play them quite a lot, but not full album wise. Actually, I guess that's not a fair thing to say, because the only full albums I listened to was all these bands, because I just don't have time to listen to like other albums in full otherwise. But yeah, Origami Angel, they were a small band, but now they're like doing their own tours and selling out shows, so they're not that small anymore. But still, with Somewhere City, great stuff. A lot of stuff on Gami Gang I love. And then Depart is still just kick-ass. A lot of songs I love, but then there's a lot of songs that are kind of okay, so they're down here. And now we have The Weeknd, which I don't love all of his stuff, but I do love one of them, which is this one, and even this one, I don't love every song on it. So there are some like seriously super crazy ass really highs, and then there's a lot of shit down here, because this whole genre I don't think I'm ever going to be fully on board with it, but for what it is right now, there's a bunch of songs I can really enjoy. But there's a lot that I really can't. And really, with the duo with After Hours and Dawn FM, like there's like 3 to 5 songs on each of these albums that like are good enough to warrant him being up here. But yeah, overall, there's a lot I'm not too into. And honestly, with Alice in Chains, it's literally been like a week since I listened to them. So I almost didn't want to include them on this one and just put them on next year's, just because, oh my god, it has been so little time. But from the little time I've had, man, Dirt is still, holy shit, I can't stop listening to some of these songs. And really the first 3, Facelift, Dirt, and Jar of Flies, I think are really, really damn good. Beyond that, that's when you kind of get into a lot of okay stuff, I think. And I don't know how often I'm going to be listening to the rest of that, but those first 3 are constant plays. And The Who has been a band that I've been a decade overdue to listen to, because, man, seriously, with Who Are You, the song is actually one of the first songs I ever remember listening to. And I've had Who's Next for like almost my whole life. So I've been listening to that album for almost my whole life. And then diving in and listening to everything, there's really not a whole lot that's bad. It's just kind of, classic dad rock, which doesn't find its way to me that often, but when it does, it hits really good. And yeah, there's just, especially with Keith Moon, that's a big boost to the Who's enjoyability. But when you lose him, that's when it kind of loses me a little. And now we're into the top 10, kicking off with Ozzy, which has, again, just a very strong discography. I mean, really, besides Osmosis and No Rest for the Wicked, I pretty much enjoyed every other album fully. And with the announcement that he's retiring from touring, at least, it kind of sucks that I never saw him. But yeah, especially with Blizzard of Oz, holy shit, there was a lot of really great songs all over that, and just super nostalgic looking at those covers, because they just scared the shit out of me as a kid. And I kind of wish he would have went back to that, like, Prince of Darkness style, and not the artworks he has now where it's just his face. And it's like, come on, man. You used to have such good artworks. Go back to that. And now with the Beatles, which, man, still surprises me that I ever started listening to them, because I thought I was a no Beatles fan for life. But, yeah, going through them, it's really hard to say that any of it's really bad. Even, because Yellow Submarine was just a soundtrack. I can give that a pass. And then we have Beatles for Sale, which is really, I don't remember any song off that. But beyond that, every album has at least a couple really solid bops. You got Drive My Car, Help, the title track, and just a lot of those in those first 3 albums that just are really singable and just really catchy. And it's the Beatles. What else am I even going to say? They're like the band. So they're up here at number 9 because they really do live up to the hype and the name and the reputation that they are really the originators of a lot of shit we know today. And honestly, Megadeth being at number 8 sometimes kind of gives me doubts. And it's like, did I really enjoy that discography that much? Because the whole, like, 90s is just kind of, or maybe not 90s, everything from Euthanasia up until The World Needs a Hero, everything in there is just kind of meh. And then moving beyond that, I love the Scorpion and Back in the Day off System Has Failed. And United Abominations has a couple really great songs too. And then Endgame, I absolutely love. But then post Endgame, like, there's a lot of albums and there's a lot of lows. But the albums I like, I really do like, with Endgame and Rust in Peace and, like, a lot of Peace Cells and, yeah, even some of the new stuff. It's really good. But there is a lot that I probably won't listen to again. Like, all those albums, like the fucking Cryptic Writings and Risk and The World Needs a Hero and all that shit in that area. Obviously, Super Collider, no one needs to hear that ever again. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that they've made. I don't know how you're supposed to say this name, Agalloch, whatever. They were the winners of the second edition, and dude, seriously, this is one of the strongest discographies I have ever heard in my life. Like, damn near every other band has at least one album, at least one that isn't as good as the rest. But with them, none of them were like that. There might be, like, a couple songs, but beyond that, everything is, like, almost a fucking masterpiece. And it seriously took me completely by surprise because it's just a band that I've never even heard of in my life. And the fact that they were this good is really impressive. And yeah, only 5 albums, but all 5 of those albums were really goddamn good. Wow, I have 3 instrumental bands on this list, and they're all in the top 6. So, yeah, instrumental music is just really great. And Explosions they're really like the post band, because every time I hear any other band go, like, soft or, like, do these build-ups, I always think, man, this is Super Explosions in the Sky, because they really did, like, pioneer this whole genre. They're in movie scores out the wazoo. They do their own movie scores and show scores, and everyone goes to them to score. If they need any kind of rock-ish type music, but they don't want, like, super heavy stuff, Explosions is your guys. And while it is difficult for me to listen to The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place, but then even without that one, you have All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone, and my God, is that a fantastic album. And then you have some songs in the first album. Just, there's a lot of tracks I really remember, but you play any of their albums, and it's gonna be a great listen. And that's why I think they're... Because these bands up here, starting with Agalloch, all their albums are just really goddamn good. With the exception of one, maybe. But, yeah, they're just very consistently great, and you can listen to them at any time, and it's great. And now Buckethead. Technically, I didn't rank him, but what do you expect? He has damn near 500 albums. What do you want me to do? You want me to fucking sit here for like 3 months ranking all of his albums? I don't think so. And yeah, while I wouldn't say everything he's done is great, especially with the Pikes, I'd say studio album wise, yes, all of it was great. It's just when he's putting out shit like 3 things a week, some of that gets a little hazy. But like back in the day when he did all these studio albums, they're all really great. Just like Explosions, you can literally put any of these goddamn albums on and you're gonna get like crazy ass solos, good ass riffs, catchy ass riffs, and sometimes weirdness. A lot of times weirdness, actually. And yeah, just seriously one of the strongest artists and perhaps the busiest artist of all time. He really does not have a lot of lows. And with Black Sabbath, yeah, they do kind of have some lows. I really can't stand Born Again. Of course, Forbidden isn't super spectacular. Seventh Star and Cross Purposes, like those kind of albums are okay. But the early stuff, like Paranoid is seriously one of the best albums I ever heard in my life. Master of Reality has some really great stuff in it. And then they get the Dio stuff with Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Dehumanizer. So many great songs in those, especially with the title track of Heaven and Hell. And then you have Sign of the Southern Cross, just masterpiece-ass territory right there. Just listening to them in full really opened my eyes, just because that was my first time hearing a lot of these albums. And, you know, as the men who basically invented heavy metal, they have a lot of songs and a lot of albums that really are like some of the pinnacle of that. Symptom the Universe, fucking almost thrash metal, pretty much thrash metal. I mean, yeah, Queen did it with Stone Cold Crazy, but like, it's debatable. But yeah, Sabbath, they are, just like the Beatles, one of the GOATs. Now, speaking of GOATs, when someone asks you, hey, do you want to hear the best instrumental band of all time? And if they don't play Russian Circles, they're lying to you. Because I swear, you know, with Zeus of Adoration might be my favorite instrumental album of all time, but Russian Circles, that's a motherfucking 3-piece right there. And they only get better live. Dude, seriously, I can't stop thinking about the last time I saw them live and just hearing the whole venue boom in that outro of Gnosis. Fuck, man. It's one of the best memories I have of a live show now. And, you know, getting to be, you know, the fucking guys right here with playing my favorite song of theirs, Youngblood. Ooh, that was good. Just, I said this before when I talked about Gnosis in my albums ranked video. With lyrics and vocals, both of those things, as you probably have come to know about me, they could really ruin a band or be super distracting, or I say I don't really like the vocals, I wish they weren't there. So when you have an instrumental group, 3 guys who, if you can write and jam, it's pretty hard to mess that up. And with Russian Circles, they really don't mess up. Because again, like Explosions, all their albums are really kick-ass. Especially with Station. Seriously, one of the best albums I ever heard in my life. Do yourself a favor and listen to it, because my lord, it is the truth. And then, of course, we have Def Leppard, which is my childhood band, and a band that I will never stop listening to, even though they have 2 albums that aren't good. X is actually just one of the worst albums ever recorded. And then Sling also isn't great. But beyond that, every album has at least one really great song. Like Euphoria has Paper Sun, and I don't know what else is really low, but point is, especially with like the trio of albums, you have High and Dry, which is the GOAT, Pyromania, which used to be the GOAT, and then Hysteria, which is the big one. And even though all their songs aren't great, that I will always love, just especially when in the first couple albums when they were really rocking. And even recently with, in the self-titled, we had Man Enough and All Time High. And in the latest one, we have the last song, which, From Here to Eternity, actually one of the best songs they've ever written. They have a lot of really great stuff that I don't give a shit if they made some garbage. They've made they made one of my favorite albums of all time. So, enough said. But of course, number 1, I spoiled it immediately when I talked about them because they were the first band that I ranked this year. Band we're doing for year 3. Spoiler alert, they're going to be number 1 for year 3. And yeah, Ghost, nothing's changed. They're still one of my favorite bands of all time. And especially bands formed after 2000. Like, I know their first album was 2010, so I don't imagine they formed very much before that. So, like, yeah. Modern bands, Ghost is my primetime number 1. I fucking love every album. I love every album. Not every song is great, but the percentage of not good songs to great songs is like one in my ass. Because, seriously, they have like 7 songs that aren't good, right? They have only 7 out of 5 albums. So there's 7 not good songs, and then there's like, I don't know how many more there are, like 70 songs or some shit like that. The rest are great. And they get a lot of shit from like just the metalheads who, they're not heavy. They're not metal. I don't give a fuck. They make some great songs, and I love them, and I think I always will. At least I hope I do. But yeah, that is my ranking of all 18 bands. I think next year there's going to be a lot fewer bands because I'll make an announcement video tomorrow talking about what's going to be happening for the next year of my channel. So, thank you guys for watching. 3 years now. I can't believe it. But we're still going strong. I'm not slowing down at all. We're going full throttle next year, which with 2 marathons, a video at least once a week, and probably at least a couple more Rank Your Albums because I'm going to hit 1,000 subs. It's going to happen. So expect at least another 3 this year, which should be fun. But and yeah, until tomorrow, you'll be seeing a lot of me this week. So stay tuned for that.